just a little bit of video game news. And today we have something all about Star Wars Outlaws. Now, I haven't really touched on upon Star Wars Outlaws on the channel before, mostly because it's just not a game that I'm particularly invested in. I love the Star Wars universe from the video game perspective, Knights of the Old Republic mostly. I played Jedi, not Survivor, the first one. Don't remember what that was, but it was pretty fun. Haven't played Jedi Survivor. Star Wars for me is a bit of an odd franchise. I have a love-hate relationship with it. Having said that, Outlaws I think looks quite fun. It kind of looks like Uncharted in space, but again, not really a game that I will particularly be checking out. However, I am interested to see all the shenanigans that Ubisoft gets up to, particularly with Assassin's Creed Shadows on the horizon. It's very interesting to see how they go about the post-launch content for Star Wars Outlaws. And in typical Ubisoft style, we're not particularly spoiling anything here. They're treating it like a live service game, which is a little bit strange. I know Ubisoft games and a lot of other games really have season passes, and there's not really a big problem with having a season pass. It's the treatment of a single player game with versions selling for over 120 AUD that has a roadmap like a live service game. But either way, we're going to skip over that and jump straight into what Ubisoft has to say. So here we have an article brought to you very words. What are they? There's a news article directly from Ubisoft themselves, basically talking about the season pass, the roadmap that's coming up well into 2025. So there's 2 story packs that are going to be included in the season pass and will be available for standalone purchases. So if you are interested in playing either of these story packs, you don't want to commit to the season pass, you don't care about the costumes, you can download the story pack as is. Considering we're getting close to the end of the year, you're probably better off waiting for a Christmas sale or Boxing Day sale. Considering it's Ubisoft, their games tend to go on sale fairly quickly. But here we have it. You get, and this is the season pass roadmap itself. On launch, you get the exclusive Jabba's Gambit mission, which is only available if you pre-ordered, I believe, the deluxe edition of the game. And then you get the Kessler Runner character pack. So I think this is very much playing on people's nostalgia. The game does take place between, I believe, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Naturally, they're going to be leaning into that. Fine. It is kind of a bit of a shame they do lock an entire mission behind Deluxe Edition, but I suppose what can you do these days? People are going to buy the games either way. Companies know that, so they're going to keep getting away with it, no matter how much we kick and scream and talk about how scummy it is or how disappointed we are. People still buy it. Casual gamers will still buy this stuff up, so there's no need for them to change. But the interesting part about the roadmap is that coming in autumn 2024 is our first story pack. So the game officially launches on the 27th of August. Now, that is the beginning of the 3-day early access period. It is not. The game, there's no such thing. It's not a 3 days early access. The game launches on August 27th, and if you do not want to pre-order the game, which you probably shouldn't, you get to play the game 3 days late. What's interesting about that is that in autumn in North America, where all of this is sort of, the timeline is based off, be that as it may, is that it's usually October. September, October, November are, I believe, are the autumn months in Northern Hemisphere. So you've got the game launching at the end of August, and then you have the first story pack coming really close behind that, which is a little strange. I find that quite strange that a game launches and less than 6 weeks later, you got the first DLC coming out. And I mean, it's, of all the companies out there that's going to do this, it's going to be Ubisoft. But it is really interesting as well. What that means, I don't know. Is it an indication that the pre-orders have been a little bit lackluster for the game, so they're trying to play on FOMO? Maybe. It's just a very strange deal. I suppose another really interesting point to get across with this is that Assassin's Creed Shadows launches. I think Assassin's Creed Shadow comes out in November. So you're gonna have Star Wars Outlaws launch, and so they're gonna want to push that first DLC out very, very quickly because they're hoping and they're expecting Ubisoft fans to play Assassin's Creed Shadows in between the second story pack, which is coming out in spring 2025. And I'm sure maybe a month or two after that, we'll get the first DLC for Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's just a theory, but that's, if I was a Ubisoft executive, that's what I'd be thinking, is spacing out our DLCs. So this is a little bit more information. So in the wild card, this is the first story pack coming in autumn 2024. Kay, our protagonist, is hired to infiltrate a high-stakes sabacc tournament as she crosses paths with the notorious gambler Lando Calrissian. She soon learns that another game is being played. So very exciting. Again, if you're a massive Star Wars fan, the opportunity to bump into Lando is going to be huge. Again, playing into that FOMO. I'm not really sure if this is going to lead into anything in terms of the movies, if it's going to be canonical, what happens to Lando in between these movies, what's going on, whether it's going to play into it, or is just going to pop up and be a quest giver. I have my money on the latter. I don't know if he's going to really be a prominent role, just because I don't think Disney is willing to let go of that in case they have a show planned, but you never know. Anyway, the story pack is released. Season pass owners will also get the Hunter's Legacy bundle and the Cartel Ronin bundle, which with additional outfits for Kay and Nyx, plus cosmetics for Kay's speeder and her ship, the Trailblazer. So you get a few more cosmetics. Again, cosmetics in single player games are a bit of a contentious issue. Very much so, companies prey upon people's inherent bond with a character, whether it's a single player game or a live service game. You will find a connection to that character, and with that connection comes customization, and that's what they are preying upon. A lot of people say that it doesn't matter about cosmetics in a single player game. That is complete fallacy. It absolutely does matter. If you are playing a game, you are feeling a connection to that character, so companies will want you to pay for cosmetics so that character feels more personal, and that's exactly what's going on here. Whether you agree with it or not, what companies do in selling these cosmetics packs, particularly in a single player game, when they've made their money, it's not a live service game, it's not a free to play game, it's a very expensive current generation single player title. So you could argue that those cosmetics should just be free. But again, that's an issue not for this video. The point is, in spring 2025, that's when the second story pack will be released. So no set date there. Granted, there's no date for the first, but considering they're saying autumn 2024, it's going to be fairly close to games just after games release. In the meantime, I was interested to see what the subreddit has to say about this. So here we are over on the Star Wars Outlaws subreddit. And quite interestingly enough, and this is something I found a little bit, interesting, to repeat my words, always fun. It's got 99 upvotes and 111 comments. So I expected it to be a little bit more spaced out. So you'd always expect to see a larger upvote to comments ratio, and the fact that it's lower is that you can tell it's getting a mixed response on the subreddit. There's 7,500 members, so fairly interesting to see that this isn't gaining a lot of traction. Some of the comments, so actually in Star Wars, not only is Lando going to be a part of it, but Hondo is going to be there, one of the fans' favorites from the Star Wars The Clone Wars series. So a lot of people are excited about Hondo being in there, which is really, really cool. If you're a fan of that, just again, I think temper expectations. I don't think they're going to be playing a massive role in the game, in the DLC. They'll be there as a quest giver. And if that's all you want, more power to you. I'm really, really happy for you. If that's all you want in your game, you just want to meet a character there and they give you a quest and you never see them again and that makes you happy, fantastic. But as gamers, we should be demanding more. If you're promoting and you're advertising that Lando Calrissian, one of the franchises and really sort of the iconic faces of cinema in the 80s and even maybe early 90s, is there in a game, you would expect him to be a very prominent role, not just a, here you go, off you go, do your chore, come back and I'll give you a reward. again, if that's what you want, but really, I think it's a sad state of affairs when that's what people are getting excited for. If that's the case, we'll find out come October, November this year. But again, it is very interesting to see that there is quite a few mixed responses to this. So, for instance, here, Multi Marcus, while that's early, is that like 2 month period to get the first DLC. Basically, the game launches at the start of September, and December is a winter month. So, in my mind, we should be getting it in November, probably. So, yeah, I think that's a very valid point. It says a lot about the confidence Ubisoft has in the game, but also the fact that they're fully aware, or they're hoping people that are going to be purchasing Star Wars Outlaws are also going to want to purchase Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, if I was a cynical businessman, I would say that given the recent drama around Assassin's Creed Shadows, although again the dates would have been well and truly locked into place before all that kicked off, you would really hope that people resonate with Star Wars Outlaws and think, man, you know what? That Ubisoft, it's not that bad. I'm going to go out and buy Assassin's Creed Shadows. And guess what? It's perfect. The DLC comes out in October. Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out in November. I'm good to go. Sweet. So it just sounds like that's typical cynical executive business thought process. So it is. It's very, very interesting. So again, the OP responds by saying the first expansion will most likely be October. The second one at some point in spring 2025, most likely March or April. Multi Marcus doesn't. October feel very soon since the game is coming out on the 30th of August officially. No, it's not. Officially, it's out on the 27th of August. You get a delayed release on the 30th. There's like a month before marketing should be starting for the DLC. It just feels like a very short time, but I don't think that's a huge issue. I just think it's kind of surprising since Avatar took 6 months to get its first DLC, and Outlaws looks like it's going to be getting its second and possibly final big DLC in 6 months. That's a really interesting point to make. Avatar, was it Fronts of Pandora? Took 6 months to get its DLC, and here is a brand new game in one of the biggest, regardless of what happens with the TV shows and regardless of what's happened with Star Wars on Disney. It's still a massive, massive IP. It has a lot of pull, and the fact that this game is getting a supposedly big expansion with one of the series and franchise's most iconic characters in less than 8 weeks. What's going on? What's going on? Am I picking at straws? Maybe. Am I trying to find conspiracy theories where there is none? Probably. Am I just trying to hate on Ubisoft? No, but it is fun nonetheless. Either way, I think that's kind of an interesting little point to make about Star Wars Outlaws. Does the game look good? It looks fine. Unfortunately, it's difficult to get excited for a game like this personally because all I see is Ubisoft bloat. I have to be honest. I do want to check it out because it is a video game in a Star Wars video game set in the time period before Disney had a chance to really mess with the canon and the lore and really just rub the fans the long way. So that's appealing, but what's not appealing is just how bloated is this game going to be? Are you just going to be checking off 400 different types of little collectibles that do nothing for you? More than likely, but again, we'll see when it comes to launch. I might check it out, I might not. But for now, just some interesting information for those of you out there who are interested in Star Wars Outlaws. Don't let my cynicism get in the way of you having fun. So if you are interested in it and you're watching this on YouTube, I really appreciate if you comment down below and let me know what you think, whether or not I'm being a right prick. Am I being a bit of a bastard? Or do I make a valid point? Are you a little bit skeptical about the state of this game and whether or not Ubisoft is going to continue to support it? Again, it's a single player, not a live service game, so maybe it doesn't matter. Either way, let me know down below.